It's time for CSCGLV TV, the cancer support community of the Greater Lehigh Valley's weekly television program, right here on CWTAP. And now, here's your host, James J. Pepe.
Hello, and welcome to Cancer Support Community Greater Lehigh Valley TV, brought to you in collaboration with our friends at CWTAP. I'm your host, James J. Pepe. Over the next weeks and months, you're going to be learning about the cancer support community and the services that are provided free of charge to our local community. You're going to be hearing from staff, members of our board, partners, and members who use our services to get to know them and hear their stories. Joining us today is Executive Director Gina Stano. Hi Gina, how are you?
Hi James, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So over this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the programs and services offered by a cancer support community, as well as we'll get into some details on location, how people can find out more and contact us to get those programs and services. And then a little later on, we'll even go into how you became associated with cancer support community. First and foremost, cancer support community, Greater Lehigh Valley. Can you give a little information on the history of the organization right here?
Sure. Cancer Support Community Greater Lehigh Valley is one of nearly 200 locations of a larger organization. We have been here in the Lehigh Valley for over 20 years, and we have been on Markham Boulevard for the past 10.
That's great. So, Allentown-based organization. We do have a headquarters. Can you just mention a little bit about headquarters and their role within the greater good?
The headquarters for Cancer Support Community is in Washington, D.C. They oversee all of the affiliates as well as they do some advocacy for each affiliate. Okay.
And for people just joining us or hearing about us for the first time, what is the area that Cancer Support Community Greater Lehigh Valley covers?
We cover Lehigh, Northampton, Carbon, Monroe County in Pennsylvania, as well as Warren County in New Jersey.
Okay, so that's kind of the coverage territory. And what programs and services are offered in those territories, and who are they offered for?
So we offer social emotional support for any individual impacted by a cancer diagnosis. So it can be the cancer patient, their caregiver, their family, their colleagues, anybody, again, who's impacted by their diagnosis. Our programs are free. What brings many individuals to us, particularly women, is our wig salon.
And tell us a little bit about how that wig salon works.
So an individual sets an appointment with us. They come in and they are fitted with a wig. They're able to pick the style color that best suits them. And if we do not have it in stock, we are fortunate enough that we're able to order it for them.
Okay. So if there's an individual what do they have to be undergoing, or what part of the process of treatment do they need to be in?
For the wigs, we say active treatment, but we do recognize that some individuals may be more at the end of their treatment, have lost their hair, and it's not grown in the way they want it, so they can come to us as well.
Okay. And just roughly, how many wig appointments in your time here do you think you've seen?
Probably about 150.
Okay, that's very good. In addition to the wig salon, I know, when we have people in tours, we start out in that first group room here at our facility. So just talk a little bit about those support groups and kind of the variety and who they're offered to.
Those support groups are the mainstay of the programs we provide. They are cancer specific, general cancer, as well as a caregiver support group. We also offer individual counseling.
Okay, very good. Now, as far as being impacted by a cancer diagnosis, services are provided for anybody in that circle. When during that process do people call? Sometimes is it at the start? Is it during? How far after has cancer support received calls from people looking for that support?
It depends on the individual. Some will call us the day they receive their diagnosis. Others will wait until they've finished treatment, and others somewhere along the journey. So it just depends on what they're looking for when they're looking for it.
And how are the programs offered? In this day and age of post-COVID, before it hit, I imagine everything was in person. During COVID, everything went complete opposite to virtual. So how can people in our community, get to us?
95% of our programs are offered hybrid, and then we do have some that are specific in person only.
Okay.
So we try to meet the individual where they are.
Now, a lot of our programs, I'm going to guess, are in our office location, but I know that there are offerings in a couple of the counties at specific times. Can you just touch on, getting out a little further from we'll say that Lehigh and Northampton border?
So most of the programs do take place at our facility. Even when they're hybrid, the instructor or facilitator is at our facility. But every Wednesday we have program staff who are in Carpet and Monroe. So they are in those communities in space provided by the health networks, the local libraries, the local Y, pretty much anybody who will give us space.
Now, you mentioned the health networks. How does CSCGLV work with the LVHNs and the St. Luke's of our area?
We rely on the two health networks to help us provide the education pieces for our programs. We do not provide any sort of medical advice. We are solely social and emotional support. So we really rely on the networks to help us navigate those other areas, and sometimes they're providing programs that we don't offer that we can refer our members to.
Okay. And a little earlier you mentioned facilitators. So how does the program staff work with setting the programs and possibly running some of them, but also how do they take advantage of the facilitators and instructors for all the offerings every month?
Well, without the facilitators, we wouldn't be able to do most of the work that we do, because our support groups, our yoga classes, Tibetan singing bowls, even some of the nutrition classes that we offer are done by those facilitators who have those areas of expertise. Our program staff really focus on individual sessions, the art classes, and the mindfulness.
So that's some great teamwork going on. Program staff, they don't have that burden of trying to know everything.
Yeah.
They get to focus in a couple areas, while the organization is always willing to go out and grab those experts, whether it's for a specific program or maybe a panel discussion or something to that effect.
Yes.
Okay. Just to shift gears a little bit, somebody in our audience, they call in, they want to get some support, they find a program or two. You mentioned earlier that the wig salon is free of charge. Is that for all programs, and then how is that even made possible?
So yes, all of our programs and services are at no cost to the individuals who come to us for them, and we're able to provide those programs and services through the generosity of the community. So we do not receive any government funding. We do not bill insurance companies. We apply for grants from foundations. We get corporations that sponsor us, and many individuals.
And I think a little that takes some of that pain point away from potential members who want to inquire in. There's no billing, there's no insurance companies, they don't have to double check how often can they come here or anything like that. So it's a pretty straightforward process for anybody needing support.
It is. All they have to do is call our office, and one of our program staff will walk them through the new member form, and also go over in depth all of our programs and services, and offer some advice on where they think that individual might be a best fit to start.
Okay. For the overall year, roughly how many programs may be offered between the support groups, some of the specialty, just over, and you say roughly over 1 month, what would it be? And then, our good folk at home can multiply it out by 12.
No, in a given year, we provide nearly 1,500 programs.
So that's a significant number. So it's not just one or two things that repeat all the time. It sounds like there's a variety to get to 1,500 offerings.
There is. So support groups are depending on which support group, they're either weekly or monthly. Those are pretty much always on the calendar, as our open art therapy class. But then they do some series where they could be 4 weeks, they could be 6 weeks, and those will vary in topic. So there's also the yoga classes, when the weather's nice, mindful strolls. So depending on the season will kind of determine what the program calendar looks like.
Okay. And you had mentioned also something about individual counseling. I know we've talked a little bit now about the support groups, but for somebody who may be a little nervous in that group setting, how can they take advantage of that individual counseling, which will then hopefully get them comfortable to go into some of the other offerings?
We offer individuals, couples, or family sessions, and we offer free 6 sessions. After that, if our program staff feel that individual or family needs more, they will refer them to somebody in the local community. And at that point, some people may wish to go into the support group, some may not.
Mm-hmm. And there's definitely a very strong sense of community that, hopefully everybody's picking up on between the health networks, between the facilitators and instructors, between if we need to refer people out. So talk a little bit just about that community portion that we're hearing so much about, because this sounds way more than just somebody coming in and dealing with or working with just 1 or 2 folks. It sounds like there's a lot of people that can touch somebody and help them.
There is. Our partnerships with the health networks enable us to, if an individual is asking us for a specific resource that we don't have, we're able to refer them to the health networks. We recognize that a cancer diagnosis just isn't about the medical side, it's also about the social emotional, but we all need to work together to address all of those at the same time.
Okay. And just before we take our first break here, just give a quick little bit on, we talked about location, Marcon Boulevard. Where in Allentown are the offices?
So we're located, for anybody who likes shopping, we are by the Airport Road Shopping Center, the Target, or we're also right by the airport. So those are the 2 landmarks that we always use to reference Marcon Boulevard.
Okay, so I think for everybody at home, if you're in need of services, not only can you join virtually, but if you need to come into the office, it's centrally located. You can get to here easily from 22, hopefully during a good ride period, but it's in a major artery of the Lehigh Valley.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to step aside for a couple minutes to recognize some of our sponsors that are making today's episode possible. We'll be right back.
The Blue Ridge Flea Market, located directly off Route 33 in Saylorsburg, is celebrating its 50th year of operation in 2026. With over 100 vendors each weekend, the Blue Ridge Flea Market is a treasure trove of rare collectibles, produce, and many other new and used items. The Blue Ridge Flea Market is open on Saturday and Sunday from 6:30 until 3 p.m. For more information, visit their website at blueridgefleamarket.com. That's blueridgefleamarket.com. They're located directly off Route 33 in Saylorsburg. Come find your treasure this weekend.
Azar Supermarket, 3131 Linden Street in Bethlehem. Locally owned and operated by George Azar. Stop by today and pick from the freshest produce, much of it grown right here at home in Pennsylvania. Peruse the meat counter for the finest cuts of chicken, beef, lamb, and halal products. Take a step to your right. It's a selection of olives and mezza and cheese and more. Azar's features a full lineup of products imported from the Mediterranean, including Lebanese olive oil and hard-to-find spices and herbs. Shop Azar's, 3131 Linden Street in Bethlehem, for great value. Chris's Polish Restaurant, located at 548 Main Street in Stroudsburg, serves up some of the best Polish food in northeastern Pennsylvania, serving a wide variety of traditional Polish dishes, including pierogi, gołąbki, kielbasa, Hungarian goulash, fresh fish, and more, in a comfortable and elegant setting. Chris's is open 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner beginning at 9 a.m. Chris also operates a restaurant in New York City, located at 1866 86th Street in Brooklyn. Visit them online at www.chrisrestaurants.com. Call the Stroudsburg location at 272-200-3177 to reserve a table, ask about the menu, or order takeaway. Better yet, why not stop by Chris's Polish Restaurant, 548 Main Street in Stroudsburg today, and sample their fresh, homemade Polish food personally. Chris's Polish Restaurant, 548 Main Street in Stroudsburg. Superior Hardware, located at 400 South 3rd Street in Bangor, is your go-to source for home improvement supplies in the Slate Belt. With a variety of tools, screws, nuts, bolts, and more, Superior Hardware is the place to shop for your hardware needs. Superior Hardware offers a full line of Milwaukee tools, the highest quality power tools available. In addition to their in-store offerings, Superior Hardware ships nationwide via their website, www.superiorhardwarebangor.com. So you don't even have to live in the Slate Belt or drive to Bangor to sample all that Superior Hardware has to offer. Superior Hardware is open Monday to Friday from 7 till 5, Saturday from 7:30 to 4, and Sunday from 9 to 2. Call them at 610-588-3205 or stop by their location at 400 South 1st Street in Bangor to jumpstart your home improvement projects today. That's Superior Hardware, 400 South 1st Street in Bangor.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Cancer Support Community Greater Lehigh Valley TV. I'm your host, James J. Pepe, and I'm joined this evening by Gina Stano, the Executive Director of CSCGLV. For those at home, on the bottom of our screen, you'll see our contact information as well as website information where you can find out more about the history of our organization here, and you can learn more about our programs and services that are offered to everybody in our community. And then you can reach out to us through the website as well, so we can get you started if you're in need of our services. Gina, it was a great first segment talking about our organization and the history, and now I think we'll pivot a little bit into kind of how you got your connection to Cancer Support Community, a little bit of your story, and then how you went through that process of getting to become the executive director and help charter the course of where we're going. So Gina, let's start with your beginnings here in the Lehigh Valley and your connection to our great community.
Sure. I was born and raised here in the Lehigh Valley. I grew up in Allentown, graduated from Allentown Central Catholic and what is now Moravian University. It was Moravian College while I was a student there. But it was at college that I found I wanted to work in the fundraising space. I did my work study in the development office and really found that it enabled me to do the things that I like to do, which was plan events. So I spent a number of years at different nonprofits in the Lehigh Valley doing fundraising, special events, and my longest tenure was at Kids Peace, which my opportunities there really led me to have a full scope of what working in a leadership role would be like. I left Kids Peace for a smaller organization, and while I was there, the executive director position at Cancer Support Community opened up, and it felt like the right time to apply for the position, even though I had not been an executive director. And that was because my mom was a 2-time breast cancer survivor who received her wig from Cancer Support Community. So I felt it was my way of giving back to an organization that helped my family.
Now, how long have you been in the executive director position here? And, just a quick little, how has the first 2.5 years been, and how do you see things moving forward?
So I have been in my position for 2.5 years. It's been a long 2.5 years. As with any organization, when you step into a role, particularly one that had been vacant for several months, there's a lot of things that were just happening because they had to happen, but there was really no one looking at why were we doing the things that we were doing, and could we become more efficient, so making some of those changes early on were important. The other thing, which just happened by the way the board terms are set up, we also saw a transition in board members since I have been here, but bringing in key people in the community to really help us create the awareness and the different fundraising opportunities was important. So that has been a focus as well. And I was hired with the goals of, we want to get to $1 million as an organization and serve 1,000 individuals.
Big goals, but good goals.
Yes.
You mentioned that you had a connection here.
Yes.
With your mom having gotten her wig, and it's a story I kind of have heard before, but can you just tap into that a little bit for the folks at home?
Sure. So my family likes to tell this story because it's a little bit of humor, but it also shows a side of cancer that you often don't think about. So my mom had gone through 2 chemo treatments and decided she was just going to shave her head because she started losing her hair. And my nephew was in preschool at the time, and my mom and dad would pick him up from preschool because it was half a day. And she had put a bandana on to go pick him up because she didn't, they were going outside, it was a little chilly. And that day, my brother said to my nephew, how was Oma today? And he said, oh, she surprised me. She dressed like a pirate. So we thought, again, a very humorous story, but then my mom started thinking, we have a couple of commitments coming up. We had a first communion, and she was like, obviously I can't wear a bandana into the church, but, I also want to look good and feel good in those pictures. And that's what really prompted her to seek out a wig. And in looking for that, her immediate thing was, well, if I go through insurance, what does that look like? Some wigs are very expensive if they're human hair. And, she's already worried about a financial situation because a cancer diagnosis is not inexpensive. So she was going back and forth, and I just said, I had been at a chamber event and met the former executive director, and I was like, I have her card somewhere, let me find it. And I said, you can get a free wig. And she had my dad make the appointment, and came in and got her wig, and she really only wore it for special occasions or those times where the family was together for something. But in those moments, it made her feel good about herself at a time when she wasn't always feeling the greatest.
Now, from that family member position, your dad, everybody around,
Yes.
What was the feeling for you as more family/caregiver role, seeing your mom come in, get that wig, and just kind of, shine that little bit more during this tough time?
I mean, I think the hardest part of being in a caregiver role was taking her for her first chemo treatment. It's not just like you're going for something that you don't know how your body's going to react, but it's also like the realization that this is real. Mm-hmm. But and again, her losing her hair, the first time I saw it shaved, she was like the cutest little old lady. She's gonna kill me for saying that. But like, she could rock that look, but she was not comfortable with it, particularly after my nephew made the comment that she was dressed like a pirate. And you don't look at it through every lens. You look at it as, well, it's just my mom. If she's comfortable like that, like, who cares? But seeing how it just made her feel better, and, I mean, she's always beautiful to me, but seeing her have the confidence that she had prior to the diagnosis just really made it worth it.
Mm-hmm. Now, from a little bit of a personal standpoint, you had that connection to the organization. Now you're leading the organization. What does that mean to you to be able to have something that changed, and had so strong of a change for somebody very close to you, to now be able to lead that organization and help offer that to other people?
I think every nonprofit I've worked at, I've had my why. Obviously, this why is a little bit closer to home because it was my mom. But to be able to ensure that other individuals in the community can have the same program, particularly a wig, or if they want the support group or they want the art classes, it's really just helping them get through a difficult time. So, it's whether they can do it with that, grace and dignity that they're looking for, or they're just looking for somebody to talk to. So it means a lot. And on the hard days, because, not every day has good news in it, mm-hmm. It's a good reminder of why you get up, show up, and do what you do.
Mm-hmm. And, through your time here, no doubt there's been a lot of people who have passed through the doors. And what's that feeling that you get and that you see the staff get when, you see somebody that first time, and maybe you see them struggling, and then as they come and receive more support and take part in more programs and they improve, what is that bounce like for yourself and for fellow staff?
I think it makes you feel good about the work that you're doing, and sometimes you have that 5-minute phone call, or you walk out of a meeting where it was not the best news that was shared, but then you see a member who's been coming on a daily or weekly basis, and they share good news with you, or they give you an update, and it can just turn that whole kind of mood around, and again make you realize that yes, for every kind of not so good situation, there's always a positive.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing some of those, a little more personal details during this segment. I mean, that's not always easy for people to go into. Some, in my experience, don't like sharing their why, mm-hmm. And you have, just shared it with, half of Pennsylvania. So, so thank you for that. And, we know everybody at home has their story. There isn't probably one person who's watching this who has not been impacted by cancer in some way. So if you're in need of the services of Cancer Support Community Greater Lehigh Valley, again, please reach out to the number on the screen, visit our website, get the information, call in. If you happen to be outside of the counties we mentioned earlier, Lehigh, Northampton, Carbon, Monroe, or New Jersey, but you still need some direction in finding support, feel free to call us when we'll try our best to point you into the right direction. For now, we're going to say thank you to Gina, and we'll be right back to wrap up the show.
Thank you for watching Cancer Support Community Greater Lehigh Valley TV. Join us next Tuesday at 9 p.m. for another great episode of CSCGLV TV right here on CWTAP.